Today, I'm happy to get to show you flat rate pricing, which is a new feature we've added to AirMatch after a lot of requests from contractors who want a price book built into AirMatch that has all of the maintenance and service and repair types of jobs priced out for them. So they don't have to go and figure out how many hours it takes to do a particular job or what parts and supplies they need for that job. They'd like it all kind of preset for them in a price book. And that's what we now offer in AirMatch. We have about 2,400 services and about 11,000 items that correspond with those services. So you don't have to manually enter all that stuff into the system. It's all built in for you. When you go into a client now in AirMatch, you'll see there's a new section that says flat rate proposals. So you can just click the button to create a new proposal in the flat rate product, and you'll see there's a list of services that you can search through. You can also go by category. So if I want to look particularly for heating and air conditioning related things, we've got indoor air quality. So if I want to go for a refrigerant related service, I can select charging, leak, and search and repair. And here I have charging an empty system with R410A. So I can go ahead and add that to this proposal, and you can see it includes 4 25-pound containers of R410A, and it estimates 60 minutes for this job. So if you look at this job and you say, that's a normal estimate, but this is a particularly tricky job. So let's say you're charging a 2-ton heat pump system and it's a flat system, but let's say this particular one is in a crawl space, or let's say the line set is super long just because of the way the system was installed. So you think it's going to take extra time to check the charge and make sure everything's precise and adjusted correctly. Or let's say there's line set damage from rodents, you have to fix that first. You might say this looks more like a 90-minute job. So you can change that right now on the fly, and you don't have to go back and create a new service for this particular job. You can just modify it temporarily, and this will only modify the number of minutes on this particular proposal. It's not permanently changing this service for use in the future. It's just doing it on the fly for this one job. So you have that flexibility. You can also filter just services you've created, or you can go through your favorites that you've created in the past. So when you go to our flat rate feature later, I'll show you how to favorite your items that you use regularly, because typically people do end up with a handful of things they use quite often. You can also move on to the items tab. So you can see these tabs are a little bit different than what you'd see in one of our HVAC proposals. Just because it's a different type of proposal, we have different options. So on here, you can go through items. Let's say you wanted to add some more coolant, or let's say you need some replacement line sets. You could go through and find those. You can also search by the part name. So you can filter down and find a line set cover you might need, and you could add that to the job as well. When you add items, you can modify the quantity. So if you need 2 of them for this particular job, you can do that. When I move on to the total investment tab, this is very similar to what you'd see for an HVAC proposal. You can do good leap financing to get an immediate approval if you want to, or you can select from the standard financing options you typically see that you can modify in the manager menu. A difference from regular proposals is we have the dispatch fee and a diagnosis fee. So some people like to charge a fee just for going out to the home. Other people like to have a diagnosis fee, and this is something that you can come back and remove. So if you charge someone the diagnosis fee and they end up not purchasing the job, you can leave that diagnosis fee on there, remove the service itself, and still bill them on the proposal, charge them for the dispatch and diagnosis fees. If they decide, yes, I do want to have this service done, you could remove the diagnosis fee, and then it won't be included in the total price. Other than that, this page is fairly similar to a standard proposal. When we get to the document, things are laid out slightly differently because of the nature of this type of proposal. But just like our regular proposals, it has all the details you need, the finance program, your total price, and everything included there, and gives you a little bit of detail about what's included. If we go into the flat rate management menu, which is on the top bar, you can go into all the items and services. You can search through everything. You can create favorites by just clicking the little star icon, so it adds something to your favorites. And in here, you've got all the categories you can look through for items. You can search by part number, name, and manufacturer. And if you've created your own items, they'll show up in this list, and then your favorites obviously show up there. Very similar for services. So you can come in here, look through the categories. If you ever find that there's a service that you want to modify, let's say you say, oh, this always says 60 minutes, but I always take at least 90 minutes for that job. You can come into a particular job and you can click the copy service button, and this will make a new copy of it. You can see it's the same title. It just adds the word copy at the end. And in here, I can go in and modify whatever I want, and I can save it. And then in the future, that will show up under my services that I've created. So now you can see there's a new service in here. I can rename it if I wanted to give it a different name, but that lets you easily modify things. That same feature exists under items. You can either create a completely brand new item or service and enter all the data yourself, or you can click that copy button to start from an existing one. In addition to all the options you have in here to edit the items and services and look through them, you can also go to the settings tab if you want to set your markups and labor rates and things like that. We have pretty flexible setup in here for the markups. So you can see we give a min and max range, and you can go in here and edit these. So a lot of people like to mark up at a higher rate for their less expensive items due to the overhead involved in ordering those items and procuring them. So you can have all the flexibility you need in here about how you like to set up your markups. We also have a labor rate and a labor markup that's separate from your HVAC one. So if you have different labor rates for services, you can set that up here. And here's where you would put your dispatch fee and your diagnosis fee. So this feature should be really easy to get started with. We tried to make it as simple as possible. From those of you coming from other flat rate service products that can get a little bit complicated, our goal was to make this really straightforward. If you want to take a look at it, please contact us and we'll make sure it's enabled in your product. And we'd love to get your feedback about it. If you start using it and you have things that you'd like to see changed, we always love that feedback. But with with around 2,400 services in here, it's a really great place to go to set up all your service needs and repairs and things like that.